Hi folks, so we're back in my garden today and we're going to be looking at St. Johns Wort or Hypericum perforatum. So best day for picking St. Johns Wort is summer solstice. Unfortunately we are past the summer solstice now, but that's okay. We're going to pick a nice hot sunny day to get the St. Johns Wort, and I'm going to show you a different method to make an infused oil today. So let's crack on. So, St. Johns Wort, Hypericum perforatum, absolutely having a lovely time in my garden at the moment. It's got these lovely star-shaped flowers, yellow flowers, bright yellow, with these big, fluffy centres in them. Now this is a sun herb, it's under the dominion of the sun in astrology, and you can see why. And as we said at the beginning of the video, supposedly the best day to pick this is on summer solstice. As I said, we're past summer solstice now, but that's okay, we can still use it. As I said, a nice sunny dry day when the sun is high, midday, your best time to pick it. Now there's lots of lookalikes for St. Johns Wort, lots of other things that look like it. There's a few key identification features. There's the leaves, and I'm going to show you the leaves in a second. They've got little holes in them, which is where the perforatum, part of the Latin name, comes from. And then another thing to show you is the buds. Now the buds, if you crush them, they go red, and I shall show you that now. So just going to crush a little bit of the bud there, and can you see it's stained red? So that's another key feature of the true St. Johns Wort. Now unfortunately my camera's not good enough to zoom in close up on the buds, but the buds also have these deep red speckles on them. Now there's loads of folklore around St. Johns Wort, and the name St. Johns Wort is linked to St. John the Baptist, and these little red speckles are supposedly blood splatters from when he was beheaded. Now in pagan folklore, on summer solstice, the Sun King and the Winter King fight, and the Sun King is mortally wounded, and after that date starts to die. This is a fairly relatively new addition into pagan folklore. It's fairly new, but in terms of what's happening in the year after summer solstice, the sun's at its peak at summer solstice, and then it starts to die back down again, so it starts to get darker. So it does kind of make sense, and I think that this thing with St. John the Baptist is part of like the crossover between you know, Christian folklore and pagan folklore, where they started to sort of cross over and intermingle festivals into their own thing. St. Johns Wort has also got loads of folklore as well around it as being a really protective herb. Now apparently evil spirits and things like that absolutely hate it, so it's a herb that's quite often used in protection charms, to be woven into them to get rid of things that you don't like, so quite useful to know for that. Medicinally, this herb is really well known as an antidepressant, so it's got loads of scientific research in it as an antidepressant. The other thing that it's got really lots of scientific research into as well is it envelops closed viruses, so things like the herpes virus. So it's really good for treating things like shingles and things like that. Now there are quite a lot of contraindications with St John's Wort, that's the only thing. So you can't use it with lots of different medications, like for example the contraceptive pill. Topically it's fine. The only thing you need to really worry about with it topically is it can make you more sensitive to the sun. So if you're somebody that burns easily, just be wary of that. And the reason that it's contraindicated with a lot of these drugs is because it acts on the liver, and it actually makes the liver detox system faster. It makes it detox a lot quicker. So if anybody ever tells you that herbal medicine doesn't work, this is a really good example to say, well, it definitely does, because we've got the scientific evidence to show that it definitely has an effect on the body. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a little bit of this and we're going to turn it into an infused oil, but I'm going to show you different methods to do that today. So we'll pick some of this and I shall show you now. Okay, so don't know if you can see the very, very tiny little holes in the leaf there. This is a key identification feature in Hypericum perforatum, St John's Wort. So the other types of Hypericum won't have those tiny little holes, but this one does. Okay folks, so we're going to do the double boiler method for making the infused oil this time. So we've got our herbs in the saucepan and we're going to cover them in oil just like we did before. So as we said, St John's Wort really good for treating things like shingles. It's also really good for nerve pain. So if you've got any pain caused by things like shingles, this is really good for treating it, to use topically. And just really healing as well. It's just nice to put in a cream just as a super healing cream. So we're going to get 2 pans. So pan of water on the bottom, and then we're going to obviously squidge all our herb material down into the oil. This is going to go the most amazing colour when we finished with it. I can't wait to show you. And then all that we're going to do is we're going to light the stove up in a minute, and this is going to sit on top of the water like a bain-marie. Okay, I need to empty some of that water out, it's a bit too much. So we're going to leave this on a super low heat. And again, the reason we're doing it this way is because we don't want to burn the oil. So you don't want to put this directly onto the burner, because you'll burn the oil. So you don't want to do that. So we'll empty a little bit of that water out. We'll leave it on the hob, and again, we want to leave it for as long as possible. So we'll come back to this in several hours, and then we'll see what the oil looks like. Awesome, see you later. Okay folks, so this has been on the hob for a couple of hours now. On a low heat, on the lowest heat that we can possibly have it on. Now, I don't know if you can see, but you can kind of see actually the oil. Obviously we've all had oil in there, but the resins in the plant have kind of seeped into the oil, and you can actually kind of see an almost stickiness to it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to obviously turn that off. And then we've got our clean muslin cloth, and we're going to do exactly the same as we did before. We're just going to strain it all off, okay? So do that. Just be careful, because obviously this water is very hot. You don't want to burn yourself. I want to get all of it out. Don't want to waste any. And then, oh, got a bit of spill there. I'm going to pick this all up now and we're going to give it a good squeeze. So just want to squeeze that. Obviously be careful because, as we said, it's hot. Don't want to burn yourself. Okay. And then once we've strained this off, we're going to pop it into a clean jar. So just pour this in here. Oh, need a bigger jar. Okay folks, so when you make St. Johns Wort oil, you should get a really deep red. Now this is gone a bit of a slightly murky brown. So I think that probably means I haven't used enough of the flower and too much of the leaf. Now it is going a little bit red, but not as red as I would expect. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm probably going to leave it cool, see how it looks when it's cooled, and then I'm probably going to do it again. I'll do another double infusion with another lot of flower. But this is part of home herbalism, is sometimes not quite getting it right the first time. It's part of the learning experience. So don't be afraid to try. If you can find some St. Johns Wort, definitely make some stuff with it. It makes a great massage oil. It's really warming, really lovely, nice to use in ointments and things like that. As we said, obviously, if you are going to use it, if you are going to take it in any way, shape or form, check with any medications that you're on, be careful in the sun. But it's a lovely herb to get to know. Let me know how you get on. Hope you've enjoyed the video today, and I'll see you on the next one.